Welcome to Amazing Indiana Music Stories.
I met Joe O'Connell. It goes back before the Spirtles ever came in. Joe and I met when I got out of high school. I sought a band to play with because I wanted to get in a band and make money and play out and play gigs. I was 18 years old and he was 21, and he was playing in a band called Paradox, and we were a hotel lounge band. They brought me in. I was the baby in the band, and we'd play these lounges Tuesdays through Saturdays in some cases, 5 nights a week, and Joe and I were roommates. Yeah, we were roommates. And the band's leader and his wife were in the other room, and the guitar player. We did this, and it was a lifestyle. This was 77 and into 78. The band broke up because we were playing at the Greenwood Bowl in February, and the blizzard of 78 happened while we were loading out that night, and we made it. I didn't make it home. I was living with a guitar player, and the band kind of dissolved after that. We lost all our gigs because of all the trauma from the snowstorm, and I had to go do other things. And fast forward another 6 or 8 months later, Joe and I kind of just put out a call for a new guitar player and wanted to start a new band together because we're drums and bass. I mean, we had a rhythm section. And we got a lead singer, a female, and a guitar player named John Bigelow. And that's where the Spirtles come in. That would have been 78, late 78. Mm-hmm. He answered one of our pull-off tabs at a music store and called, and he was 18 years old by then. I was not 19 maybe. And we got a band together that was doing Heart covers, and we were traveling around central Indiana. And John had this group of friends that he knew from the east side, where he grew up, that were putting together this group. They got together and were kind of hippies, and they deadheads, and they had this thing. They called themselves the Spirtles. And he goes, "You should come over some afternoon." Asked me and Joe to go over there. Were you part of that? No, you were not in there yet because Tim was the drummer.
It was John, you and I.
Right, John, the three of us. And John took us over to Joseph, our friend Joseph Huber's grandmother's house, and they were set up and jamming in the living room. And a guy named Tim Cooper was playing drums. Rickey, the lead singer of the band, historically, as you know, was the bass player in that gig. And Joseph was on rhythm guitar, and James was playing lead. And we walked in and had brief acquaintances and kind of listened to him jam a little bit. They were playing Eyes of the World. They were jamming, kind of working on that, because I remember Joseph running through the guitar riff. And I was like, what is that song? I knew very little about the Dead. I had heard Working Man's. That was the only album I'd heard. So that was 79, and then it just kind of floated, and we went off and were playing together, and then Yount was that band, and it broke up. And around 82, I got a call from James saying that he was getting together. He and Rickey were still playing together as a duo, but they were thinking of going electric and doing kind of a Grateful Dead San Francisco psychedelic thing. And they had this drummer named Keith, and we were going to get together and play.
Interrupt you there. Actually,
this is where it comes interesting.
Actually, about late 79, a guy that I worked with knew James.
There we go.
The guy I was working with was a darkroom guy, and he was doing all the slideshow stuff for Light Band, and James was running lights for Light, and I just moved to town and said I wanted to play, and he hooked me up with James. So I went to the Vogue underage and met James, and there we started jamming over at Joseph's grandmother's, and that was like late 79, and it was me and Rickey, James, and Joseph. And then you came along somewhere around
March 6th of 82.
But we'd already been playing, practicing for
March 9th, March 9th.
Quite a while. And,
you guys were polished.
We didn't play out until you came along. I think our first open stage was at the Hummingbird.
Would have been.
So that kind of kicked everything off there.
The call came to go over to Keith's house because they were playing it on Vine Street over off of Rockville Road by then. And the story is, and this does need to be on the record, we dropped acid and we played, is it the first side of Europe 72? Jack Straw, China Cat, Sunflower, into I Know You Writer. first things we ever played together, and we got out of that and we were just lit up. Of course, we're tripping, but we were like, it was amazing, and the chemistry that was immediate. And we're like, hey, you know, you want to do this? Maybe we should do some more things. And 2 months later, on the 12th of June, I think we played our first gig at the Broadway Art Fair. We did those open mics you talked about.
We rehearsed for many months before we ever played out.
We played the Broadway Art Fair 2 months later, man.
Really?
Yep. 2.5 months later, I've got the poster.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was 82, and then you guys played together a long time, but I was only with the band for 2.5 months before we started out playing. And by summer, we were playing at 62nd Street and the Hummingbird at 71st and Keystone regularly.
Yeah,
and
gig
we were
started picking up a little bit.
Yeah,
Small
yeah.
gig.
Yeah. James left the band in 82, late 82, due to internal strife, personality differences of young people and testosterone involved, and other things, egos, all that stuff. And we brought in John Bigelow, who introduced us to the Spirtles. And he came in and played guitar with us shortly for about a year. And
We changed the name. We didn't go by the Spirtles.
we changed the name to Looney Tunes because James had, the Spirtles' name was James's, and it still is in all of our view, at least in mine. It was his concept, his invention. The Spirtle is a utensil. It's a kitchen utensil. I've got the
Wooden
video.
kitchen utensil.
A wooden kitchen utensil, and it serves multi-purposes. You can look it up on YouTube. And he was out with Bob Kasnick. They were at a grocery store, like a Target or somewhere like that, I guess, multi-store. And they found one of these in an aisle, and James was just laughing because he turned the word backwards. As you know, Spirtles backwards is sell trips with one L. But he just thought that was really funny, and the Spirtles would be a great name, like the Beatles. And Bob Kasnick is still a friend of mine, and he still refers to that story, that he was there when that concept, that name came to light. And that all unfolded. James left. We brought in John for a little while. John was with us for maybe a year and decided to move to Oregon, and then was commuting back and forth for 2 to 3 months at a time, maybe not even that long, driving back and forth, and that lasted for a while. But then that fizzled, and in late 83, actually summer of 83, so that was really only about 6 months, Becky Brindle came in and played guitar with us. And she played for the remainder of that year, and she played the Broad Ripple Fire gig on the canal deck. That is legendary. That show, the whole Broad Ripple Avenue, half of it burned between Guilford and College. And we played that night through a snake that we rented from Jet and Jeff Gardner at Indie Pro Audio, and their shop burned that night. And I held on to the snake for like 2 months before we returned it. But I have the recording of that show. And we were pretty lit up, but it was an amazing performance. And Becky Rickey, the whole band was just psyched out.
Becky's went on. She's played a lot out of New York State, and she's got inducted actually into the New York Hall of Fame, Blues Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Does a lot of shows in Europe. She's killer little guitar gal.
Still comes home and jams.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. She still comes back to hometown. Occasionally, and we see each other and just have coffee or whatever. But she's family. When Becky moved out to Woodstock in late '83, and that's where she hooked up with the band. All the guys from the band, Danko, Levon Helm, everybody was there, and she got to know all those people. She still hangs with John Sebastian and moves in those circles. We brought in a friend of Keith's, John Paul. I do not remember John McDaniels. And he played nobly and brought some really cool music to us. Bruce Coburn stuff was we were playing, and some Jefferson Airplane tunes, things that we hadn't ventured into. So he brought some personality, but didn't last long. And it was early '85 that James talks began and resumed for a reunion of the band. We did the return of the Spirtles, and I still have some bumper stickers.
1985.
85, and Joe
that's when
came in at
Barb,
that point.
Rickey's first wife.
Yep.
Barb, she kind of started playing with us.
She's playing percussion. We had
84 somewhere in there, and that's
Yeah.
when I suggested we bring Joe in because.
Well, doing the Dead thing, having two drummers really made a lot of sense too, and the elevation, the communication that these two have. You guys have played together. We just hadn't really
I was working nights.
Done it, yeah.
Yeah, at that point. I came in, my entry was at Post Yantra. I came in and I was out on tour with some other Lounge Lizard band, and when I got home, my dad goes, "You gotta call this James Booth guy. He's just driving me crazy." So they were playing for, it was like, I think that year's attorneys were all passing the bar or whatever.
Ah,
So we were playing a party
okay.
for that. So
remember
I
this.
played the first gig with those guys in late 1979 at the Athletic Club, I believe, downtown. And
Wow.
anyways, that was my introduction. So I played, things didn't seem very organized. I came from making money and playing, so it kind of fizzled. Nothing, I thought, man, this could be pretty cool. Things fizzled, and then as things moved around like you just talked about, so I was working a post office job nights and working weekends in those early 80 days. So, and then my off day switched, and then I came back in 85. Keith asked me to join the band, and we've had a really great
Yeah.
connection
Yeah.
as far as
Oh,
tandem
yeah.
drumming. So that's where I came in.
Yeah. And I left in January of 87. January of 87 on June 3rd due to internal differences with James.
Drive.
And yeah, strife. It was just a trademark of the band. You know,
All
like a lot of
bands.
bands, all bands.
All bands.
Not all bands. I mean, I can
Most.
think of like my older guys I played with in the Spud Puppies. You know, there's a point in your life where you don't need to be doing that anymore. You know, what are you doing this for? Why are you playing music? You're not going to be a rock star anymore. It's time to put your ego away and remember what you have, and the whole being greater than the sum of any of you combined. And that removes all that, diffuses all that shit. And then you get back together and you start thinking about, wait a minute, we really have something that needs some respect and have some legacy to it.
And you can get along with some people, and some people are just a
Yeah.
little more difficult than others.
My thing was, I could not get, at that time, the Spirtles really, the focus was on Rickey's music, and it always was, because Rickey and James were the nucleus of the band. And so me breaking in with my music as a songwriter was really not going to happen. We played a couple of songs, Jacob's Ladder, we tried Safe Passage.
Great song.
All songs that ended up in 2002 on my solo record, archival stuff combined with a bunch of new stuff. It was like 14 tracks called Baptism of Fire. And eventually those songs were all fleshed out in the studio. But I went on and created my own band, the Earth Tones, and we were doing our own thing for a while. We kind of became part of that second generation hippie band family in the 90s as the Spirtles were phasing out around 95, 96.
We
we were
were
coming
phasing
up.
out. We
Well,
were just going through changes.
changes.
You were just going.
Well, you came and played with us and Buddy with the Earth Tones, and we took
Oh, yeah.
took you with Buddy Cage.
It was kind of a
And
drum
the
slinger
changes
back then.
really became Lab 3, and the Spirtles really never reconvened.
Oh yeah, sure we
Not
did.
much, except for reunion shows.
No,
I don't
no,
recall
I'm
much of
sorry.
anything.
No,
Well, that's
when,
good to
after you
know.
left, Russ came on from the Rods and Cones.
Well,
Russ
that was
Levitt.
89.
That was 87.
87,
We're in
right.
86, 87.
Yeah, I'm talking about 96.
James was back in the band.
Okay, yeah. of
That
course.
lasted, Russ lasted for a couple of years. He wanted to focus on original stuff, but we were getting great gigs,
You guys were playing
doing
big
more
shows.
Dead stuff. And, we did
Circle Fest was
we did a
big.
lot of the West Coast sound stuff, different bands, Jefferson Airplane and stuff like that. But anyway, Russ, he left the band after a couple of years, and that's when Vendley came in. John Vendley, great bass
It's
player.
91 when he came on.
I was earlier than that.
90?
Yeah,
Russ was only with you for a year, right?
Russ left in like 87 or 88.
I would say more 88. Russ was about
Just
a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, about
So
a year.
Vendley was, and I were the two longest
Then
bassists.
Vendley came in, and
He played the extent out.
he was
Like-
he was there for the duration.
When did he go to
then-
Florida?
92, 93,
No, it's
94.
way later than that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, James left the band again,
Mhm.
like third time or whatever.
I
And
played some water bowl shows in
that-
'95 with you guys.
At that point in the game, you know, we were playing good gigs, the Vogue, Bogarts, a lot of college towns,
Bluebird.
packing every place we played.
Yeah,
It was-
Justin.
So
and-
yeah, when James left, we had Justin Garriott came in for a minute, and Bigelow sometimes in and out, coming back from Oregon. Yeah, you know, when James left, I think Bigelow came back.
Mhm.
Am I right,
He did.
Scamp? Does that sound about
That sounds
right?
right.
Mhm.
And then Justin,
And so, yeah, Bigelow's like commuting, and we're playing, we're booked, you know, solid. We're playing like, we agreed to play 3 weekends a month and take about 2 or 3 weeks off every 2 or 3 months so he could go back to Oregon. Yeah, he was commuting, hell, we were flying him in, and he was driving. But the band really took off, was really solid with him and Vendley. It was the best, one of the best lineups ever. And then when he decided to go back to Oregon for good and not commute anymore, we did that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Several years.
Mhm.
You know, that's when we're doing the Madam Walker for New Year's and had played the Vogue for New Year's. Had some pretty good New Year's shows, different venues, but when he left that last time, then we really struggled trying to find the right guitar player, because Bigelow was kind of he was like a mix of Garcia, Santana, and Zappa.
Well
So-
said.
And, you know, there's just not many guys, anybody that could play like that, besides those, you know, those 3 guys. And so, yeah, we brought in a friend of ours, Justin Garriott, great guitar player, good vocalist, didn't really fit the bill.
More of a blues band.
More of a
blues
bluesy
man.
guy. We brought in
Greg
Greg Hill.
Greg Hill, Greg Slick Hill.
Yep, great player,
May he
but
rest in
more of an
peace.
acoustic
Mhm.
guy. Had a great vocal, and we did actually do the only recording that the band ever did. Rickey wrote like, I don't know, 8 or 10 tunes in 2 weeks, and we just showed up at our rehearsal spot we rented, and he goes, "Hey, I've written some songs. You guys want to record them?" And we recorded them right there in our little rehearsal spot.
One
And
step at a time.
Awesome songs and pretty good
Great
recording.
stuff.
But again, Greg Hill was not the guy to play the Vogue or play these bigger stages. He just didn't have that dead sound, you know. So we had switched up the song selections to accommodate these other guitar players, and it just never really seemed to work. And
Well, then at that point, you were playing with Gene Deere
well,
every, Sunday night
I
at
was,
Zany's?
I started playing with Gene every Sunday and Tuesday, but I was still doing the Spirtle gigs, but it was around, 92, 93, Rickey kind of started waning.
Well,
you
but we
know.
brought in Gene. Gene Deere played with us
Yeah.
after Greg Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I played
Brought
that
in-
water bowl show with Gene
Yeah,
Deere
so
in '95.
Gene
You were playing with him a bunch, so you,
Mhm.
hey, how about bringing in Gene Deere?
Yeah,
So Gene played with us.
for probably a
Rest in
year or
peace.
2.
Yeah, you're right.
And, but yeah, about that time.
That was starting to,
Rickey,
that was 95-ish probably, or
yeah, so.
94-ish.
And this is where I was speaking of in '96. I had my band that I'd been developing, the Earth Tones, and Rickey had the band, the Spirtles had kind of waned. We got a call from Buddy Cage from New York City. Our manager Betsy, our keyboard player's wife, got a call from Buddy Cage, and he was on his way to headline the International Pedal Steel Convention, the 25th anniversary in St. Louis at the Riverside Hotel, and he needed the Riverfront Hotel, and he wanted a backup band that played all dead, because he'd never been. Now, Buddy Cage is the guy that took Jerry Garcia's place on the second New Writers of the Purple Sage album through the rest of the career of the band, and he was doing this gig and he'd heard about Earth Tones, and we were doing the Dead thing, kind of picking up on the back end of what the Spirtles had been doing, but they weren't doing it at that time. And there were other bands like Fancy Lizards. There was a whole scene in Broad Ripple that was like the Y Store had picked up off of the Spirtles. Anyone that doesn't know that wasn't paying attention, but the Y Store really built off of what the Spirtles did, much like Fish did off the Dead. Similar thing, in my view. But we didn't have a drummer at the time. Earth Tones didn't, and Keith was not playing. I called Keith. He came over, and we went to St. Louis. We met Buddy at the Union Jack bar on the west side, in the bar at the pizza place. And we, on Thursday, and he says, we're going to be in St. Louis, show up 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. We're playing that night. It's going to be a ballroom, about 1,000 people. And these people, a lot of these pedal steel players are old blue-haired country guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never gotten any respect. So we're going to play all Grateful Dead. And pardon my French, but he said, fuck those guys. So we did not have a rehearsal. We met in the bar. We drew up the set list. He went on his way to the hotel. We showed up Saturday at 1 o'clock. I ran into Marty Stewart coming out of the elevator as the valets were loading our stuff. Like, we were treated like kings. And Keith was there, and we played the set. And I have a video of the show that I'm having digitized, and we killed it. Buddy kicked. We were playing. I Know You're Rider out of China Cat, and Buddy stood up on his pedal steel, and he's rocking the pedals back and forth, and he kicks his stool off the stage, 25 feet. And the host goes over and picks it up and puts it back on stage, and Buddy's just like, you know. But
He's
it was
a monster.
crazy. We came out on stage, and the room was full, and our guitar player, Dave Bigley, who also did some time late days with the Spirtles reunion shows, he comes out, he's got big afro hair like Slash, only bigger, and he's wearing a hippie
Rasta hat.
Rasta hat and a hippie broom skirt and combat boots and wife beater. And like a fourth of the people got up and just left.
Saw a lot of persons hitting the table in the back of heads.
And everybody else came
Shaking
down
their
forward and
heads
said,
like,
let's
yeah,
go.
what the hell is
And
this stuff?
It was great. There were women dancing in their walkers out in the aisles, and tie-dyes were flowing, and all the cool people stayed, and the curious people stayed. And it was an amazing relationship that started in that 96. We were still doing shows with Buddy at Zanies too. He'd come through, and we had put together a band with Rickey and Keith, and Dave and Bobby Fields and myself from Earth Tones had combined together, and we had a band called Lab 3.
Laboratory Experiment number 3.
Yeah, and that was Ricky's concept band, to marry the two bands, and we brought Buddy in, and he'd bring his band from New York, Stir Fried, and we would pair up when they would be touring and passing through, and we did shows.
A lot of times Buddy would just, he's going somewhere to play, and he'd just call and say, I'll be in town, you guys got a gig? $200.
Yeah, there's some beautiful versions of, there's one in particular of Ricky's song Lavender that we played
Buddy
that's got
tried
recorded.
to steal that, but I don't think it ever happened.
He stole the show on that one. It's on YouTube, you can see it. It's called
really
Lavender,
cool.
it's Lab 3 with Rickey and me and Keith, and then Bobby and Dave and Buddy on playing this beautiful pedal steel on that song. And it's the song that Rickey wrote after Jerry died.
Yeah.
The tribute. So
supposedly, Rick became, he was talking to Buddy quite a bit.
They became
supposedly,
very close.
Buddy was friends with Bob Dylan, and he told Bob about Lavender. That's the story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
It's
you
true.
know how Rick he used to call me all the time. Hey, what are you doing? And he would start calling Buddy Cage.
Buddy was very accessible.
Supposedly, Buddy might have had a show on Sirius or
He
something.
did.
Yeah, he did.
He did for a long time.
So, anyways,
Right up to the end.
that's a story, but it's a great song.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah, Rickey had just tons of songs that were just awesome.
There's some brushes with greatness with this band. And one thing I want to remember, too, we haven't mentioned, is 1992. I wasn't even in the band, but I really admired this. The Earth Tones were just starting to get some legs under us, but I was watching the Spirtles and what they were doing. And 92 was the 25th anniversary of the Summer of Love, and these guys brought Timothy Leary to the Vogue to MC the Summer of Love 25th anniversary celebration.
We didn't get very high that night.
No, not at all. And he was wearing a Spirtles T-shirt, tie-dye T-shirt. It's
Got a
great.
picture
I mean,
of
that's
that.
iconic. You know, that's iconic.
Yeah, we hung out
stuff.
with him in the green room.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hanging out with Tim.
You know, that was one of the highlights of my life because,
So fucking cool.
you know, he spoke for an hour, whatever, and he was like, "What's up with all the tie-dyes, you know? I'm used to talking to college professors and blah, blah, blah." Everybody yells, "The Spirtles, we're here to see the Spirtles." And he's like, "Oh, well, I might have to check these guys out." And he sat at the back bar all night long. We just did one, like, 2-hour set, something like that. And
He ended up on stage with us, if you remember.
yeah, oh, that's what I'm getting at.
Oh, okay.
If I
Yeah.
remember right, then it was James and Rick opened for the show
Mhm.
as a duo.
Yeah.
And then Timothy did his
Yeah.
bit, and then the band played.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we had this just smoking 2-hour set, and we dosed pretty hard. And we were all right there, and we got to the end of the show, and we're doing China Cat and I Know You Rider, and me and Joe were like a freight train. And Leary comes out of the dressing room at the Vogue, and he's hopping. He's a little guy. He's, 5'6" maybe, and he was 70 years old.
He was 70 then.
And, you know, his whole thing for when he was speaking was, you know, you got to turn on, tune in, drop out, you know, you got to get it, you know, you got to understand what I'm talking about. And he comes hopping out of the dressing room this far off the stage, just going, "Yes, yes." And he come right in front of my drums and leaned over my drums and sprayed me with, "Yes,
Awesome.
this is what I'm talking about. This is it. This is it. Yes." And I just looked at Joe and I went, "We're good."
He was wearing one of our
Our
T-shirts.
T-shirts.
So somebody gave him a shirt and he put
Oh,
it
man,
on.
it was just, I just like, okay, I can just quit playing forever now. I'm cool, you know.
So,
To get that kind of kudos from a guy like that.
so throughout all that period of, I'm not sure when Jeff Lint came in, he was our
Early.
yeah. You remember exactly what year
Early.
you started getting
We're
involved?
doing it at the
Well,
Hummingbird.
my-
Gene was helping.
I
My
moved
first
to
wife was
Indianapolis
helping.
in '81, and Rick was one of the first people I met. He was doing a benefit for the Paddle Wheel Alliance anti-new group, and that's how I got to know all you guys and started following the band. And yeah, I was just a fan for a couple of years, and then started doing special effects.
Yeah.
You know, we had to,
We-
I didn't do the lighting. The basic lighting was somebody else.
Yeah, you did all the
But we
visuals.
did. We had 3 60-millimeter projectors, a slide projector. We showed old movies, cartoons,
school.
animation.
We got them from the
Well,
public
Sonic
school.
Bubble
IPS
machine.
public
Yeah.
school auction. We went into the they were
Yeah, bought a
liquidating a
bunch
bunch
of
of old
movies.
films and movies. We used
Yeah.
the drums from Fantasia. On drums, we used the dinosaur sequence from Fantasia where they were falling in the desert.
Yeah.
You know, from
We had Mickey Mouse
all
stuff,
kinds
which-
of stuff that we
Which
were
is
using.
illegal. If the Disney people found out about it, we would have been.
Oh yeah,
We-
that's
We had a
statute of
bubble
limitations. you know.
machine, police lights. I used to string
Yeah.
We would start
Christmas
at like
tree lights around the drums.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we had all kinds of special
We'd
stuff.
start
Always-
setting up at like 2 in the afternoon
Always
before the
bubbles
shows,
and
and we'd be up till
balloons.
4 in the morning
And the
tearing it
show.
down.
Yeah, Bubbles.
Decorate the place, a lot of
Yeah.
tie
Vogue.
dyes. And
When it was around
stuff.
80, well, it was around the time that John left, Bigelow left,
Mhm.
that we started a TV show. And public access had, we had public access back in those days. They made a deal with the city
82.
to require they let people come in and do shows. So we went in and did a half-hour show every week. We'd have 2 hours to set up. We'd have 2 hours to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
An hour to set up, half an hour to shoot the show, basically as if it was live, and then half an hour to tear down. And it was our show, so the Spirtles were at the Looney Tunes at the time.
Mhm.
Was basically the house band for our show. They did the first show, the fourth show, the 9th show, I think the 26th show.
Yeah.
And by that time, it was Bigelow did the first one, then the second 2 were Becky. And either the third, she might have done the third one, but the last one was with
John Paul.
John Paul.
Yep.
He did
And besides those shows, we had him on a couple times we did one show the whole show was a performance of Hotlanta. And it was the Looney
Monster
Tunes
Jam.
was basically the foundation of it. And then we had 2 other guitarists. We had 4 guitarists. We had 2 more bass players. So we had 3 bass players, 2 drummers, percussion, and a couple keyboard players. And it was wild.
Yeah, you won't see that.
Went
at the-
on for what, 20 minutes?
We did a lot
30
of
minutes?
green stuff with
Yeah.
psychedelic stuff behind them and projected onto the band.
We used Scamp was, I love this, when we would have our psychedelic parties and stuff, Scamp would take a video camera and point it at his television, his CRT, and it would create video feedback, and we just sit there and watch it.
Yeah,
Because we're
I've still got a lot of
tripping.
that stuff,
Yeah,
too.
oh man, but we also use it for some of the green screen backgrounds, and
And then I started doing it for the shows.
right,
Yeah.
and it was great effect for the period.
Oh, yeah, man, it was psychedelic.
And this
as
is
could get.
before anything we
Yeah, it
have.
was in the
Yeah, you
days
won't-
of-
All the cool stuff we
everything was
have now.
VHS and,
Right.
what is it,
Slides.
Betamax.
Yep.
You won't see this stuff at the Mousetrap anymore. I mean, just saying.
Not like that.
Not,
We also
yeah,
had Rick
not
on
any
the
of
show a
this.
lot as by himself as a host. We had a different host for every show, and Rick hosted the show probably 5 or 6 times. Greg
He
hosted
did
once,
several, or a few.
and every time Rick was on, he did a song or two. So we've got some really good stuff of Rick doing some of his solo
Yeah.
shows.
Captures of some great bands in the 1980s, early 80s Broadripple scene too. Cousins from Venus, some
Oh,
really spectacular
well, everything.
music, everything that was
Punk
happening.
to country to.
Yeah, we brought it all.
Jazz.
Reggae.
There were 60,
That
how
was
many,
sweet.
60 episodes, 60 something?
We did 83 shows.
Wow,
10 of them have disappeared,
okay.
but we've got all the rest of them, and they're all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Trouble is in your set, folks.
Tru-
The
Yeah,
Trouble is in Your
Set was
Set.
the name of the show.
Yeah.
I was
And we
down-
did that for about 2.5, 3 years.
Mhm.
At least, yeah.
It was off and on, so we didn't do it.
It's a lot of work, 60, 70
Yeah,
show,
it was
83
crazy
shows
doing
in
that,
that
bringing in
short
a-
pan.
Setting up a whole band and doing a show
Spend
and then
it
tearing
time.
down. and
Yeah, in
everything
2
else.
hours, the whole thing.
Yeah, the people at the American Cable didn't like us very much because we were loud and it was a
Yeah.
lot of trouble for them. A couple of the people at our level were helpful.
Yeah, yeah, but we had a real dedicated crew. And there were comedy sequences, skits and stuff. I mean, the stuff
Oh.
was hilarious. It's an
Yeah.
amazingly creative show. Very inventive. And ahead of its time, especially, it's never been duplicated or recreated, nothing like it that I can think of locally. Because we
Yeah.
don't really have that access
Oh.
that we used to have either.
It's kind of the
No,
Wayne's
no public
World.
access.
It's kind of a Wayne's World
Mhm.
kind of show
Yeah.
way before Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jeff. So he was with us from, I don't know,
Forever.
85,
80s,
86, and then
something like that, yeah.
through the
Mhm.
duration.
And
And
what,
eventually you got digital.
We
you
kind
know.
of threw in the towel, what, about 93, 94, because Rickey, I mean, as far as really booking gigs.
It was. We had a good 10 years from 85 to 95,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah, because 95, I started playing with Gene, but yeah, we were still playing.
you were playing. You were doing Sundays and stuff with Gene,
Sundays
and we were
Tuesdays.
playing. You were just doing.
What-
You were doing some.
There are
stuff.
videos from
You guys started
95.
When were you guys doing the Monkey's Tail again, though? That was the early 2000s.
That was
You
a-
had Bigley, and there was some Spirtles shows at,
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
the
for
Monkey's Tail
one
Sunday
summer,
afternoons.
That was.
That was a really solid gig for a little while for you guys.
Yeah, we played every Sunday, and I think we missed one Sunday. It was
Maybe
one of those
rain.
weird. Yeah, the
Mhm.
Monkey's Tail in Broadripple.
Yeah.
We did not. I think we got rained out once.
Mhm.
Every Sunday we played.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Great set.
I-
great
Sometimes a
setting.
little hot, but
But we had players coming and
all kinds
going.
of different players, Russ would play.
Russ was the
or,
main bass player at that
uh,
time.
Vendley had, I think he'd
He was
moved-
already moved.
He was moved out at
Yeah,
that
he
time,
moved to
so
Florida.
Russ played a lot of those, but, Jim Cremitas would play.
Yeah.
and Jim Curry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
come
that's a
and
guy we
do
haven't
some
talked about.
songs.
Dave Bigley and his now wife,
Yep.
Jen.
Jen.
sang
Jen
some
sang.
songs.
Yeah.
So it was one of those, but it was just like a reunion
The
kind of
family.
a thing. And that was probably 18 years ago or 20 years ago
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, I've got 2003, 2002 in my mind.
That sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah,
And
so-
that would have been about the time Rickey got diagnosed with his
He
liver problems. and
right
got
around
sick.
that time, yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we kind of, I don't know, we still would get together occasionally, I think, and do a benefit, or we played his 50th birthday
Mhm.
party.
Yeah.
The reunion
We would-
show.
We would do some stuff,
Shows.
but at that point in the game, he was starting to Kind of.
Yeah, at that
voice
point,
was kind of going, and his playing was.
he was having some serious health
We
problems.
were having issues with guitar players, and we just said, let's.
Yeah, you were playing
Throw
with,
in the
you,
towel.
you went and played full time with Gene Deere.
That was about
And I had-
95, 96.
We had formed with Bigley and his wife Jen. We formed a all original band called Mysteries Bloom.
Yeah.
And I was
and it
doing
was-
Spud Puppies.
Yeah,
Bluegrass.
it was Josh
Josh Plus.
plus playing bass,
Tones bass
Dave.
player.
Cremitas played with us
Mhm.
before he moved.
Mhm.
So it was that, and we did Jen's songs, which
Yeah.
were great songs.
Yeah.
And then that was my coming out of that. But although we did Gravity Hill,
Oh, yeah.
we did it all. We did a space, drums and space, ambient music, and that was right around 2000, 2001.
You released a recording too.
We
We got
got
three.
We got
Yeah,
three
Wow. I did not know
three
that.
recordings. It was,
Mhm.
really nice ambient stuff, and Keith and I would layer all this really cool world music percussion. So that was something we did right
Yeah.
post.
Yeah.
We were doing some post projects. I did some West African drumming with the village drum troupe. We were doing some hand drumming stuff. So we were keeping busy with different stuff.
There was also one other notable gig, and I think it was 2003, and that was the 10th anniversary reunion of me playing with Rickey and James and you and Keith, and that was at Earth Day. We played Earth Day
I
Festival.
remember that.
Yeah.
And I
Yes,
can't.
like
I had not played with. I had not
2006?
played with James for 10 years.
Was that like 2006?
Maybe. Yeah, no, it wasn't that late because I left. I was in the second Spud Puppies album. I was real busy
I think
with
it
the
was before-
puppies
I
then.
think
It was
it was
2003.
We played several.
Yeah, it was
Great
2003 was because Keith, well, Craig Laughlin was still alive and he was booking the music, and he passed from cancer in 2004,
shows. Okay.
October 9th. So,
We played a lot of those gigs.
yeah, but that was a significant reunion show for us as the original lineup of me and Keith and Rickey and James, the original four. That was the first time since,
Yep.
yeah, a long time, it's a
Yeah.
long time. There was other little things that we did. We did another recording session in 2000 that was behind closed doors and tunes, and we
I
got
gave
together.
that to Rick today.
Yeah.
That recording.
Yeah, there's
Bring up at
stuff.
the-
There's stuff around. Rickey did
Rehearsal
this
studios.
beautiful
The what?
rehearsal studios.
at Rehearsal Studios on Keystone on the
Oh.
south side. There
Wow.
was a session we did there, and
Was that a live gig?
some great performance. It was live to tape, but in
Oh,
the
okay.
in
Live-
the studio,
yeah,
live to
Because we
tape.
did that thing at the pop machine, too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome stuff too. And then Rickey did that beautiful acoustic thing where he did those songs, a lot of those new songs, including the song Eli for his son, rest in peace. And I think that was Jeff Lieber that recorded that.
Mhm.
It's beautiful, and Rickey's voice is just starting to crack, but still beautiful. It's just this, and I listened to those are the recordings I spent because I could hear his lyrics when I was preparing for the revival that we just did. I spent hours with headphones and earbuds and every which way, monitors, every which way I could to get some of his lyrics because Rickey didn't always enunciate well. But listening to him sing inside my head like that was just mind-blowing, you know.
You know,
But his voice was still beautiful at that point.
One of the things that,
It's
many of the
fragile.
fans, a lot of people, even these guys don't realize was, Rickey had so many songs
Good stuff.
that nobody ever heard, He spent the last 9 months of his life with me, living with me. He was always playing in the living room or the kitchen or whatever, just sitting around playing and singing, and I'd walk through and I'm like, what was that? He'd go, oh, I wrote that a while back, blah, blah, blah. I said, where'd that come from? He goes, oh,
They're all different too.
And they
Every
were all,
song's-
Mhm.
all
No two
different.
songs
And,
sounded
I
alike.
mean, some of them would just,
Mm-mm.
there at the end, we were rehearsing for playing the last couple of for hurrahs. We knew, he was pretty far gone, close to death, within months. I guess, a year.
Yeah,
We did those couple of shows at the Irving.
2013 was our kind of a big thing. That was
Yeah.
Yeah,
a
'cause
year or
he-
two before
he
Rickey
died
passed.
in 15.
15.
Right. So
But anyway, so this is a story that just breaks my heart. So we're rehearsing at my house, and we're rehearsing outside. They just rehearse acoustic. We run through the set, and it starts raining. It's this nice soft rain. Rickey goes, "Oh, hey, check this out." And he does this song called The Rain. And he gets through a verse and another verse and then the chorus. And after the second verse, I'm tearing up and get emotional just talking about it. Got through the chorus and I just quit playing. I'm crying like a baby. He gets done. I'm like, "Where'd that come from?" He's like, "Oh, I wrote that, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago." That was the way he was. And I mean, I'm just bawling. My pillow was wet for a month. And we get together the next week, and I don't know if you know Russ Levitt, but he's a big, tall guy,
He's a presence.
Yeah, he's a presence. And never really emotional. But anyway, the next week we're rehearsing inside at my place, and we go through the set. And I say, "Hey, Rickey, why don't you play that Rain song again, see if I can keep my shit together?" "Oh, okay." He starts playing. He gets like about through the two verses and the chorus and the next verse. Russ we're sitting on the couch. I'm there, he's here. He sets his bass over, put his head between his legs, and he cried like a little girl for a half hour.
wow.
And I was like, okay, it wasn't just me,
I do remember that.
And geez, what a song.
It was that
Just
that Ricky's
and-
talking about.
Yeah, and
Well, he lost more songs than he used to carry these little ledger books.
yeah,
And
Spirtles.
we can't find them.
he would. I remember helping him. I think I left it at the last club we played or something.
I didn't know the origin of the name Spirtles, but what I get from you guys today is the spirit and the Spirtles are intertwined, and the family goes on.
Totally.
And you guys just played.
Huge fan.
Will you be playing again?
We never know.
Well,
Never know.
as the Spirtles,
Yeah. Or as
That-
the Spirtles
yeah.
family.
never say never.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
our bass player John, he lives down in Melbourne, Florida. He's retired now, so his mother, believe it or not, is 97 and still living on her own. And John says that he'll be coming up to visit her. So I'm trying to figure out if I can get notice of what he's going to come up. We could do something. That's
Sure.
and then just
Yeah, 'cause I'm
pull it
playing
in
guitar
with
now.
pull it in with the
Yeah.
guitar. We've got we
I'm
could
doing
pull the
Ricky's
band
part.
together easily, but it
What's
kind of
left of us.
yeah. So
I've lost a couple.
Yeah. It's I think it's something that you cherish it every day and every chance you get a chance to do it. And when we did the Spirit Revival, the Spirtles Revival, and it really was a Spirit Revival.
It was awesome.
There was, I'll disclose here, is there was an underlying current for me as a recovering alcoholic and singing Ricky's songs, and now having just heard the story, the real intimacies of that. There was a real elevated mission and purpose to that event, and we took that mission and purpose and put it to work by making a donation to the East Side Club, East Side Indie AA Club, in Ricky's honor and memory, $500 of the proceeds. But basically, the remainder of the proceeds after expenses went to that. And because we couldn't save Ricky, but maybe there's a purpose here that moves forward. So
pay it forward.
Pay it forward. And the Spirtles, we're all families and members, and we all have our own projects and music projects. The things that Joe has done with 3 to 1 and the legacy that has continued. I talk a lot about how you go to the Mousetrap and you see High Rider. They're our grandbabies.
Yeah,
Literally,
I
they're our
think a couple of
grandbabies.
them were conceived after.
It's
our
weird to
show.
walk. It's weird to walk into these shows and be
show.
treated and be called practically called sir. And you're like, please, give me that fucking bass,
Man.
But it's true. We've carried this legacy all this time, 40 years, and it's still going on, man. It's strong as ever. And bands are coming out in the '90s like Funk Bud Johnny and the Lizards. We lost Chocolate George back in October. They were supposed to have a reunion show on the 5th. It ended up being a memorial for Chocolate George.
Yeah.
So, the legacy of the Spirtles, I think, whether we play again or not, carries on in all of this
It
extended
runs deep.
family and all of the roots of the tree. That's it.
What was funny? Well, funny. I was honored. It's been several years ago in Bloomington. Went to see Junior Brown at the Bluebird, which we had some spectacular times.
Made
at
the
the
walls
Bluebird.
sweat there.
We got the big picture over the dance floor and all that, and I hadn't been in there in probably 15 years. And I go to see Junior Brown, and the doorman, he goes, "Oh no, you're good." I remember him, and the black bartender was still there.
Yeah.
I go up to the bar and order a couple beers, and he goes, "You're good." I didn't pay for nothing all night long, and I was like,
You paid for it
Wow.
for years, man.
Yeah.
That's
you
awesome.
earned it. You guys all earned it.
We paid it forward.
We have to wrap up because the building's about to close up.
Cool.
We close at 5.
I think we've told the story, Rick.
I think you
couldn't-
have, and
I
Very
got one
much
really
for
good
having
story
us.
that's only about a minute.
yeah, go
Closer,
ahead.
the closer.
One of the folk shows, like you were saying, a lot of people got very high for the shows. And I heard this second or third hand later, there was a guy that wandered away from the show and went to somebody's house near the Vogue.
It was patio.
And
No, it was a Vogue.
Oh, was it the Vogue?
I think it was the
Okay,
Vogue.
I
yeah,
remember
I
this.
remember the story, yeah.
This guy goes into somebody's house, and the guy wakes up and he hears the TV on downstairs, and he comes down, and this guy's just sitting there watching the TV. And he tried to get him to leave, and he couldn't get him to leave. He wasn't doing anything violent or no threat or anything, but just wouldn't leave. And so the guy finally had to call the cops. And when they came, they asked him, "Well, how did you get in?" He said, "The cat let me in through the wall."
Now, that same guy had gotten on stage at the gig trying to sing. He was really, really pretty high.
So one last thing I'd like to mention our production. Jeff,
Yeah.
Jeff Lieber, who is our longtime sound
guy.
engineer, recording engineer,
All our crew guys.
genius.
Wiz,
Well,
Jim
Jim
Myers.
Myers,
Jim Myers,
was
Brian
our
Hart, Buddha.
Brian Hart.
yeah
Roger
John
Baker.
Garriott, who is now Chris Stapleton's production manager.
Yeah.
He was me and Joe's
He's-
drum
He
tech.
set our drums up. Yeah, but yeah, Jim Myers was our production manager.
Albert
Brian
West.
Buddha Hart was our monitor engineer. We had a big crew,
Yeah.
and
Hardworking guys.
hardworking
Well,
guys.
those guys earned their money.
And,
That was a long, hard
and they
day.
still show up. They were the
Yep.
crew at the revival show. That was the same
Yeah.
And
guys.
James would always thank the crew.
Yeah.
One of the few bands I've seen that would do that, thank everybody by name.
That's because James is a professional stagehand. He
Yeah.
knows,
Yeah,
he knows both
really-
sides of that, and
Really
that's where you
regret
get that.
James not being here because
Yeah.
really this is his baby. He's been
Yeah.
going through a lot of depression and health issues, and he got arthritis. He hasn't played for a couple of years, and
Maybe we can get him in here sometime.
that
I hope
would
we've
be
made him
Help us
proud.
do that. We
Probably,
can-
Yeah.
It'd be
we ought
nice.
to do that with just him by himself.
Yeah,
'cause,
exactly, yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
he's
He was the vision.
Yeah.
He's the one that put it all together. He had the vision. He had the ideas. He wrote the set lists.
Hmm.
Just the character that he was, and difficult at times, but it's really his baby.
And we were all loyal to him,
Yeah.
and we still are. It broke my heart that he couldn't be there
Yeah.
for the revival.
Well,
you know?
it kind of sucked. We did a show a while back, few years ago, and
Three or
and
4 years.
Bigelow was there, and
Yeah.
James was there, and then he said he was doing his lung treatment, and he says, I just don't feel well.
think I
I
can
got
do
to
it."
go home. Have John play the show. Luckily, John was there, and we kicked ass
Yeah.
pretty well.
He ended up going to the ER at
yeah,
the
he
community
went to the
hospital.
ER, yeah.
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 But it
Yeah,
was-
so his health has not been good, and it's really affected him. It's really taken a toll on him mentally, I think, and depression.
Yeah.
Getting old ain't for pussies, that's for sure.
But it all started with Rickey and James.
Yep.
That bond, the wild geeks in the West. You know, when I met them, they'd just gotten back. When John introduced us to them, they'd just gotten back from the trip to Boulder. They all piled in a little Honda, like a mid-'70s Honda Civic, little one, and went out to Boulder to see the Dead for 2 shows or 3 shows. All 4 of them with all their camping gear in a Civic.
Yep.
That's the first impression I had
Wild
of
geeks from the West.
them. Rick, thank you. Katie, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
This
Thank
is
you
a
for
joy.
being here.
having us.
Gosh, to be able to exude all this in one sitting is just
You made my job easy.
incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say, good question, Rick.
Yeah, really. Way to go, man.
Ask
What
2
was
questions.
question 2?
We never got to it.